Happy Monday, guys. So we're back for another week. Got a lot to cover. So Mondays are normally our short day, which today is. We use that for covering our textbooky types work. So art history, defining certain terms, things like that. So today's not going to be any different. We're going to cover copyright, which is really important for artists, especially in this digital age where it's really hard to keep track of where people are getting their inspiration from and what makes that legally binding and how you give your credit to your sources and things like that is becoming more and more and more important. So this is becoming a more important part of the year. I normally save this for later on, but since we're stuck with this e-learning style, this is actually a really good chance for us to cover stuff like this. As far as how long this e-learning thing's going on, Mr. Reimer is applying for what's called health leave. That's a lot different than calling out sick, which is what I've been doing. I had a lot of saved up sick time because I never took a day off. Health leaves means I won't be making these videos, though. It means that you will have a long-term sub or a replacement teacher of some kind. I'm not sure what happens to the e-learning guys, but it means I won't be here on a daily basis anymore. I still have the same email address. If you guys have any questions at all about art or art questions, please send them my way. I love answering them. I love hearing from you guys. And it breaks my heart that I'm not there for you guys and I can't be more involved. A lot of our art supplies for the semester are ordered, but because of coronavirus and all the problems involved in that, it's going to take a month for it to get to us. So for the time being, we're stuck with pencil anyways. That doesn't mean the stuff we're doing is stupid. Everything we're learning applies to all arts. We're going to start cracking into principles of design and stuff like that. And that applies to everything. That applies to looking at classical art, making new artwork, working in package design and more commercial stuff like that, to the fully abstract. Those apply to everything. So although we're practicing these things in drawing with pencil and stuff like that, painting with acrylics or oils or watercolors, drawing with charcoals or pastels or ink, all of these things apply across the board. It's just a slightly different use of material. I like to mix up material a lot during the year so we don't get bored with it. But right now we don't have access to a ton of material, so we're sticking to pencil for a while. All right, so we're going to do a quick warm-up, and then we are going to talk about copyright. All right, so be right back. This is the warm-up, guys. Real simple question. We're going to take 2-3 minutes with it. I want you to write down your idea and definitely support it, as always, in any class ever. You can't just write yes or no. You have to back it up a little bit. It's one of the main reasons you're in school, in order to learn how to do that. So what I want you to ask yourself right now is think about what you know about copyright laws. The laws that protect artists from getting their stuff stolen by other people, those ones you have to pay a fine or even go to jail if you break. Do you think they help artists out, or do you think they limit their ability to create? A lot of the people that enforce copyright laws are big corporations and stuff like that. So are they using them to help artists and protect intellectual property, or do they use them to keep people from doing what they want? So write down your answer real quick. We'll take 2-3 minutes of this. Should be a couple sentences, and then I'll show you some examples and we'll make up our minds. All right, guys, as we go through the rest of this information, I want you to keep in mind that answer you gave. Is it helpful or is it in the way? And is your mind going to change through these facts? Because honestly, this is a lot of stuff people don't know about the art world. And this is what concerns us most as far as like legally. This is where you can get in the most trouble with copyright and plagiarism. It's the most legalese we have to handle as artists to understand what we're allowed to use as reference, and when you cross that line into plagiarism, what's the difference? It's a really important distinction. It's important to know what it is. So let's get into it. So here's the actual definition, like the dictionary definition of copyright. The legal right of creative artists or publishers to control the use and reproduction of an original idea and work. Means that nobody can use something without the creator's permission. At least that was the original intent. But whoever owns the copyright, which is like an actual piece of paper that says you have the right to publish it, you have the right to make money off of it, that's the person who controls it. So it's not always the original artist anymore. If you are working for a company, they can own the rights to your artwork, and then they get the rights to publish it out. Like the guys who work for Pixar and stuff, they don't see any money off of the toys that Disney makes because that was part of their contract they signed. This is what your rights are. This is what copyright's set up to do, is protect your rights as an artist. So this is what those rights are. To reproduce a work. So you have some sort of say over how your work is published or printed. Like, you wouldn't want your artwork in a magazine for something you don't agree with. So you have the right to tell them not to do that because it's your work. You own the copyright. To prepare derivative works, that's a similar thing. If they want to make a new edition of a comic book you wrote, except they want to do this one in leather with gold lettering and stuff like that, you get to say whether or not they're allowed to do that. To distribute copies, you get to say how many. Like, in the world of art has more value if it's rare, if there's less of them. So you might not want them to make 20 million copies of a drawing you did. It will be worth less. Not worthless, but worth less. And you get to say, like, no, limit it to a run of 200. That's your right as an artist. To perform the work, so go to a speaking function and tell people the meaning of it, read aloud from it, you get final say on all that stuff. And then display the work publicly. You can decide whether or not they get to show it. Like if it's a painting and they want to show it in a gallery and you just feel like it's problematic or doesn't represent who you are anymore, you get to say no. Even if you sold the artwork but retained the copyright to it, you still can say no to them putting it out in a gallery. But here's a really good video on how copyright laws are today and how they got there.